and welcome to this new special episode of Continuum Gaming, today accompanying the episode 280 of Continuum Gaming, and today we are having a look at another Sailfish OS topic. So in this case we are going to have a look at the different app stores. You already can see the icons of them here on Sailfish OS, and when to use which and why you should use one, and which one you might want to avoid if you can. So if anything is available in another, or something is available in another app store, you might want to get it from there, not from this app store, and stuff like that. And yeah, in the end, if you don't know what Sailfish OS is, of course, please have a look at the corner up there, because there is a video where I'm going to talk about that in depth. In short, Sailfish OS is a Linux-based smartphone operation system which can replace, for instance, Android, iOS, or Windows 10 Mobile in our case, because Windows 10 Mobile is, of course, no longer developed, and so it might be a good idea to have a look around. And the good thing about Sailfish OS is that it is very privacy focused and will not sell data or something to other entities and stuff like that. So if you are into that and you want to know more about that, please have a look at the corner up there. There is another video I'm going to talk about that in depth there. Yeah, and let's have a look at the setup I'm using today, because it's a little bit strange, but I have to do it this way because it's the easiest way to bring something from Sailfish OS to the big screen. And what I'm using here is a technology called Screencast, and that's more or less just getting more or less screenshots of the smartphone and bringing that to a web server to have a look at the different screens and images that are going to be projected there. The problem about that is that it's not very performant, so you are of course already accustomed to the different options and so on Windows 10 Mobile here, and so the performance might differ quite a lot, but this has nothing to do with the smartphone speed you are going to experience. For that I'm going to go to your place and turn around so you can see what the real speed would be on the smartphone itself. It's just the technology I'm projecting this here with, because it's even more complex than that, because I am using the Windows 10 Mobile smartphone here with Continuum to bring the screen you see here on this screen. So this image at the moment is projected by the Windows 10 Mobile smartphone. I can show you that by using my famous Arc mouse in this case. This is more or less the mouse pointer I'm moving with that. And the interesting part about it is that for the screencast technology you can't use the inbuilt browser from Windows 10 Mobile, because that one is too old for that. And because of that, I am using a different technology here, and it's a little bit tricky. I'm going to use TeamViewer from this smartphone, because there is a TeamViewer application here and it's working really great. And I'm going to access my desktop PC over there with TeamViewer from this smartphone to show you what is going on in the browser from the desktop, more or less, and that one is connected to this smartphone, which is an Xperia 10 II, or Mark II in this case. And on this, Sailfish OS is running. So if you didn't get that, doesn't really matter much. Just be aware that I'm going to project the stuff from this smartphone to this screen using, yeah, this kind of technology. Okay, so first off, we have to go to the TeamViewer client here. You can see it here, so it's open. And as you can see, this is more or less a TeamViewer client. Here is the icon for that. I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way so it's not going to interfere. So this is the full screen mode of the Firefox over there, and now I'm just going to get rid of this, and this is more or less what I can show you here. Okay, so let's have a look at the options we got here. So as you already have seen, there are a couple of different options available, and for what we are going to use, I'm going to show you. Come on. There we go. Here's the image again. So this is the Yola store. This is the Storeman application, which is going to go to Open Repos. This is F-Droid. Here is Apica Pure. This is Aurora. store, and this is the App to Read store. So these are the most famous store options on Sailfish OS in this case. And what I'm going to show you is how everything, or which one looks how and how you should use it. Not in depth, of course. So, as you can see, this is more or less projecting now the smartphone screen you can see here. And if I'm moving around, you can see that there's a little bit of a delay and sometimes a little bit of a lag. This has nothing to do with the performance of the smartphone, as you can see here. It's just about all that. But what we are going to talk about here is we have a look at the stores, and I have all of them installed at the moment. And I will show you what all of this is all about. And this is more or less the order you should use them in, or more or less. So App to Read and APK Pure can be exchanged here, but whatever. So first off, let's have a look at the Yola store. Yola store is the official store by Yola, which is creating, of course, Sailfish OS, and so this is the most secure one you can use. And of course, it has native Sailfish OS options here. So you don't have to have any kind of Android support or something installed, because as you already know, Android is not available by default on Sailfish OS. You have to buy the not free version of Sailfish OS to use Android support on it. Yeah, so these are more or less native apps where you can use everything here by default. For instance, there's this Telegram client, Fernschreiber, you can see it at the top there. Which is already a native app, and so you can use that. And there are a couple of different other ones for different things, like Pure Maps, for instance, which is one of the best options to do navigation if you are privacy focused. And there are a couple of other things you can use here. As you can see, it's a nice store, but it's not really full or something. So there are a couple of different things you can't find in this store. For instance, if you're searching for WhatsApp or something like that, you're not going to find it here. And in the end, the store itself is working pretty straightforward on a Sailfish OS part, of course. Oh, we have a pretty large gap here between my screen and that one. Let's see. It's a little bit better again, but pretty bad at the moment. But you can go to this menu here, and then you can go to search, for instance, and search for stuff. And if you, for instance, want to have Fernschreiber, which is a Telegram client, of course, and I should write it right, sorry for that. Then you are able to find Fernschreiber in this case, which is of course a Telegram client, and you can install it. And yeah, in the end, it's pretty much like you would expect it to be. You just go to that, you see that you already installed it at this point for my case, and then you can see how many people have downloaded it. There are this like button, so if you like this app, you can of course like it like that. I already did. And then you can of course read the different informations here about all that. It's pretty straightforward, as many of these clients are. And in the end, you can get a couple of different images and so on and so forth. Since most of the stores are more or less like that, I'm not going to talk about that much more in other stores again. But just to show you, it's more or less what you are expecting to see here. And the interesting part about it is, if you want to install it, you just go in the up menu there. If you don't know what that is, have a look at the different video, or the other video I linked in the corner there. And then you can just open it or deinstall it if you already have installed it, or you can install it by this measure. And yeah, this is more or less what the App Store from Yola is looking like. As you can see, here it is. And now let's have a look at the next best App Store, which is more or less Storeman. Storeman is connecting to an open source repository, or whatever you want to call that, where you can have more or less the same. So it's looking very equal to the official App Store by Yola. Here there are open source sources more or less, so open source developer, which are going to give you different apps and stuff like that. It's a lot more than in the official Yola store, but still you don't get WhatsApp or something, so it's open source only in this case, and since WhatsApp isn't open source, you're not going to find it here. But still, if you need any kind of other option, for instance, you are searching for, I don't know, here's a vocable trainer or something, but there are a couple of different other things here. For instance, if we have a look at what I installed from this, for instance, Screencast, which I'm using at the moment, so as you can see, Screencast is transforming all this, can be installed from this store. And if I click on that, as you can see, he's going to open that on OpenWebHost.net if you want to, because you already installed it, or you can just deinstall it by here, and of course you can update stuff later with this too. It's more or less working like something on Linux would work, and in the end, the interesting thing about it, it's not exactly the same as with the Yola store, because if, for instance, let's get something I didn't get till now. I don't know, let's have a look at the different options here, and now let's go to Office or something, it's not really important. And then let's have a look at Watchlist, for instance. This is another app, and as you can see, it's more or less the same, so you get some kind of an button to favor this, or to say it's great, which you can do for this video too, just to let you know. And then of course you can favor it, you can bring it to your favorite list, you can just sum it up, you can share it with somebody, and of course you can have a look at the different informations about all this and what to do, or what the developer wants to do, what has been done, and so on. There might be a change list sometimes there is no one. It depends on the developer what they really want to do here, but in the end, this is more or less what this is looking like. You can have, of course, a look at the different screen shots, more or less, of the app here. As you can see, there's a really big delay at the moment, but this is more or less what the app will be looking like and stuff like that. And so we can just have a look at that. We have, of course, commentaries, so comments if you want to know what's working, what's not working, and maybe what the people thought about it. Here is the option to do that. As with many other app stores, it's available here too. And of course, here's the changelog. If you want to have a look at that, just click on that, and you will see what's changed in the different versions and when the version was last updated the last time. So this one is from the 18th of September, pretty new. And so you can see what's going on here and what the developers are developing for this. And as you can see, there's a long list here already. And yeah, other than that, this is more or less what the OpenWebHost store does. It's very secure, not exactly as secure as the App Store one, because of course these are developers, but it's an open source development community. So it's pretty secure that you're not going to run into stuff like phishing attacks or something. And yeah, it's a lot more stuff in there, or there's a lot more stuff in there that you can download here with really different things. You might not recognize the different names here, but if you, for instance, are searching for something, you can just put in something like what you are searching for. So let's say you are searching for a text app somehow, whatever. I can just put that in here, and you will get different options, different things you are going to get here. With patches, for instance, with some, for instance, this presage-based text predictor stuff, these programs, which are service programs in this case, and a couple of different other things you can just use here. TinyEdit, for instance, is an own text editor, and so on and so forth. So just have a look at that, and you will find a lot of different options here. As you can see, it goes on and on. There was Nano, which is a very famous editor for Linux, of course. You can get that for Sailfish OS too, and so on and so forth. There's a lot to find here, and yeah, this is more or less what you can have a look at. The difference to other app stores you might see on iOS or App Store or Android, for instance, is that the apps, of course, are not that well known. So for instance, if you're searching for the well-known ones like Facebook or something, you're not going to find them here. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. The next one is F-Droid. F-Droid is an open source based community too, but it's for all Android users. So from now on, everything needs the DALEC support, AD support by Yola in this case. So in the end, if you want to use that, this is all more or less available on other stores too, and on other Android-based operation systems too, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can use the first two ones, but I would recommend to get the information or the option to do that, and for that get more or less the support for Android in this case, or Android apps, APK apps in the end. So F-Droid is another store, as I mentioned, and F-Droid is something that is pretty filled with a lot of different things. And for instance, you can even get pretty well-known apps here. Not all of them. Most of them are not that well-known. But for instance, if you are searching for Cough Pass, so the COVID app in Germany in this case, you can reach that here too if you want to. So just search for it. And for instance, here is one app for the Swiss people here. So if you are using the Swiss identification part for the COVID-19 certification, you can use this, and you can find other very important ones here, for instance for Italy, for German too. If you have the right name, you are going to find it here too, and so on and so forth. And I think it's Cough Pass, I'm not exactly sure. It's a little bit harder to find, but in the end it's available, and if you want to have a look at that, I will link everything down below. So the Cough Pass app will be linked down below, or better to say, I will link to my own website where you can find all the different informations, because I have created some kind of a startup for Sailfish OS. So if you are going to need help with that, just have a look at that. I'm going to show you that later on, but whatever. In the end, you can find it here now. And so there are a couple of other things available in this App Store too. And again, it's a little bit harder to find stuff if you don't know the name, so just write in what you want to do with it, not just the app name or something, because writing WhatsApp in here, I don't think we are going to find anything, because all of these apps are still open source. And yeah, you can even find something like, for instance, the Web2Go client for WhatsApp Web and stuff like that, if you want to use that. But in the end, you can get the real WhatsApp on the smartphone too. So let's go out of this store too. As you can see, we now have Yola store, the store man, then F-Droid in this case, which we can't see at the moment. Let's go back so we can identify that better. Yeah, maybe like that. As you can see, I have a couple of things from F-Droid already installed, and at the moment it's going to update one of those, because I just opened it for the time there, and as you can see, we have a couple of different things which are going to be updated here. So just let it run. It's fine to do that. And it's F-Droid, so F-Droid is pretty trustworthy and stuff like that. So there's not much you have to worry about in this case, because as mentioned before, open source developers bringing this to all the different APK supporting smartphones in the end, which of course with Android support is also one of the Sailfish options here. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. The next one, so now we are going to get into the more or less a little bit shady ones. It's okay to download stuff from there, but you have to have a look at it first. So be very aware that this is a no longer open source version of the apps, and the developers are not going to give you any kind of part. And it's not by default the developer of the app itself that is going to put in the app into the store. So Aptoide and APK Pure are more or less the ones where you should have a pretty good look at before you are installing something. But let's have a look at Aptoide first. Aptoide is more or less what you would expect App Store to look like, pretty much like that. And you can of course search for stuff here too, and if you are searching for instance for the big names here, you are probably going to find something. So let's have a look at WhatsApp in this case, and as you can see there is a WhatsApp Messenger at the top and you can get it from here if you want to. WhatsApp by itself is already a pretty data protection less messenger, so if you want to use this from here it's fine, do it more or less, but be careful. Have a look at this icon at the start here. So this is very important for you, this little icon where it says vertrauenswürdig in German, so this is trustworthy more or less, and you should have a look at that, but don't give too much on it, because in the end it is uploaded by often a different developer than the original version, and you can't really check who did it here. So it might be the official version which is uploaded into Aptoide by Facebook itself, but it doesn't have to be, so be very careful about that. Yeah, other than that, you can find everything here like in any other app store. I think we don't have to have a look at that too much. There are a lot of different apps available here from different developers, and most of the apps you see here are more or less all of those you are going to find in other stores too, like including the Play Store. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one, APK Pure. I would say it is a little bit more trustworthy. So if you go to this one, this might be the better version. Doesn't mean that you don't have to be very careful about it, but as you can see, here you can find different parts, like for instance, yeah, pretty high-class smartphone games and stuff like that, but of course more than that. So if you use APK Pure or if you're using Aptoide, they are more or less the same, but I would say APK Pure is maybe a little bit better concerning data protection issues, just because there was one pretty bad thing happening with Aptoide. I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, it installed not WhatsApp on your smartphone if you uploaded some or downloaded the WhatsApp client, but you got something else. So in the end, if you're downloading something before you are going to Aptoide Pure or to Aptoide or to APK Pure, you might want to consider to go to the developer itself. So in case of WhatsApp, for instance, you can download that from the developer itself too. WhatsApp is going to give you that, and many others creator of apps are doing that too. So have a look there first, and after that you might want to go here. Okay, and then we got more or less the last contender in this part, and this one is a very special one because the Aurora store, in this case, this is this app, is a pretty interesting one. This one is more or less client for the Play Store. So you're getting all the different apps and stuff like that that is available in the Play Store by the same developer of the Play Store, at least if you are trusting the Aurora store itself. And the good thing about it is that in this case, the Aurora store is not giving out your information to the Play Store. So Aurora is more or less connecting to the Play Store by an anonymous function, more or less. You are at least asked at the start if you want to do that. So as you can see, there are a couple of different options here, and it depends on what you are going to set up at the first time you're starting this. And I'm thinking about if I should reinstall it to show you that, but I don't think that will help you anymore. So there's a pretty good startup session there, and you can use your Google account, but I wouldn't recommend that because then you can just get rid of it. because then you're going to have the same functionality as the Google Play Store itself, so get the Google Play Store. But if you're using the anonymous function here, you can go into it, and as mentioned before, Google is not going to receive the information from you, but it's going to receive the information from Aurora, and they are going to bridge it through you. So in the end, Google doesn't know that you are downloading stuff from them. Problem with that, of course, you're feeding the giant a little bit. So this is why this App Store is at the last place for me, because not because it's less secure or something. It might be securer than, for instance, AppToRead or Appica Pure. But the problem about it is I'm going to support Google in this case a little bit, and I'm not a fan of that. So if I can avoid that, I'm not going to use this. But in the end, if for some reason or the other something is not available in one of the other app stores, you can get it from here and you can download it. And yeah, it's a pretty nice one too. So if, for instance, you want to have a look at it, it's looking pretty much like what you would expect an app store to look like. As you can see, with different categories here, I can get a lot of different things here with best average ratings and stuff like that. And of course, there are a couple of different apps which they are going to show me, so I should download them for their reasoning, whatever. This doesn't matter much because they don't know me, so this is just some kind of a collection of the most successful ones in this case. And in the end, this will not change for you too, because in future the session will be restarted and renewed, and so they are not going to know what I am searching for really. But this is what you get if you want data security and data protection, of course. Okay, so let's have a look what we could download here just to show you something. You can see there are all the big names, of course, here. I don't know, let's get Waze, for instance. If I click on that, just have a look at it. Same as you already know with other app stores and stuff like that. So there are a couple of different informations: when this was put online, what kind of SDK was targeted here, how big it will be, and of course the rating of it. And so if you are ready, you can just go to this button down here and click on install. If you do that, just give it a second. As you can see, there's a nice little bar which is indicating how much you already downloaded and stuff like that. And after a couple of seconds, in which you can of course have a look at the different other stuff here, for instance the commentary informations about that. There are various other apps, of course, which are going to give you information about that. And after that, everything is installed. They are going to ask you if you really want to install this. I'm going to do that now. And after a while, you should see a little banner which tells you, hey, everything was fine. And there's of course one of the problems here. 5 trackers were found in this app. So if you're downloading stuff from this app, there is a banner. You might have exactly those problems. So there are of course Google trackers and stuff like that included in here, and that can't be changed in this case anymore. So that's the reason why I would recommend you to do it in different ways. So use first the upper 2 ones and then go down like we did here. And if I'm going to have a look at the GovPass is already updating at the moment for me, but whatever. And we are going to have a look at the newly installed app here. There is Waze, and we can of course activate that and use Waze more or less as you are already aware of if you are using anything else from Android or something. And of course there are different things you can allow or disallow for this app and stuff like that. So this is more or less a normal process you already know about. I'm not going to do that at the moment, and I'm going to deinstall this app as soon as possible because I just don't need it. But as you can see, sorry, let's do that now. There we go. This is an interesting part of Sailfish OS 2. So if you are deinstalling stuff or doing stuff, you are often not asked with yes, no, do you really want to deinstall something or so, but there is this little bar which is going to give you time to more or less cancel what you just did. And if you don't cancel it, then it's going to be performed. As you can see, there's CoughPass. In this way it has to be written, then you would find it in the store too. And there are a couple of different other things I have on this smartphone too. Yeah, and here is future me, and yeah, I just missed something in this video because I wanted to show you which kind of address you have to put in if you want to go to the new section on Patchworks3D about Sailfish OS. So as you can see, just go to sfos, which is Sailfish OS in short, .patchworks3d.de, and then you're going to get to this little fella here, which is the new section on Patchworks3D.de, which is going to tell you a couple of different things about the whole Sailfish OS ecosystem, and you're going to get information about which apps to install, why, and some of the interesting features here. And of course there are news on this website, on the blog section too, and so on. The website is available in German and in English, so just select whichever language you want here. And as you can see, here are a couple of different very interesting, hopefully very interesting informations about SFOS, where to get it, how to get it, and of course this section is very interesting too, so you can have a look at Sailfish OS apps and patches I recommend. So which you want to install in the end. So here are a couple of different things, like for instance what you should do to get a functional smartphone with all the different things you would expect from a smartphone. Because on Sailfish OS you have to install everything by yourself, but with this little guide it should be more or less easy to do and pretty fast too. So, hope that is helping you. So let's go back to the tabs. Yeah, so this is my take, of course, on the whole topic here. I hope you had fun with it. I hope it helped you a little bit, so that it taught you a little bit about what kind of things you should use on your Sailfish OS smartphone. As mentioned before, if you don't know what Sailfish OS is, or you want more information about that, please have a look up there. Other than that, let's go back to our screen here just to show you again the different app stores. As you can see, those are available for Sailfish OS, so you can get pretty much everything you need. And other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I hope you had fun with this video. Have a great day, have a great night, or whatever it is for you. Please give this video a thumbs up, that is really helping me, and of course subscribe to the channel if you didn't till now. Other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Put in your comments to the commentary section down below, and then have a great time. Bye. Bye.